beginning with the invocation led by Councilman Adam Persa, followed by the pledge to our nation's flag led by Mayor Carey.
Lord, we are gathered tonight to engage in the business of our community. We ask you to bless those present with grace and wisdom to responsibly shape our deliberations and to guide us to find a conciliatory understanding of how best to govern. We pray that you keep watch over all of our neighbors, and especially ask for you to welcome those of our neighbors who have been called home to your heavenly community, especially Diana Eaton of Dover. And in this Lenten season, we pray that the Holy Spirit guide our Christian community in self-examination and human betterment. And may your light inspire us all to serve as witnesses of your grace by performing wonderful works of goodness for those in our community most in need. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Council, you have before you this evening's agenda. I would request the addition of item 2A5, recognition of service for Dover Human Relations Commission for Don Ellen Pine. Are there any other additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I recommend we approve as presented.
Motion by Mr. Hutchison.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dixon. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we have before us the consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda that are considered routine and non-controversial are marked with an asterisk and will be acted upon by a single roll call vote of council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. What is the pleasure of council?
Move the acceptance of the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Slavin, second by Mrs. Williams. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Persa?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Bowe?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Item number 2 is presentations and recognition of service for the Dover Human Relations Committee. Mayor Carey and Justina Brewington, Linda Hackett, Roy Sudler, Faye White, and Don Ellen Pine are invited to come to the podium.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It's my pleasure to present you with some certificates of appreciation. One here is for Justina, and it reads for her service as a member of the Dover Human Relations Commission, January 2012 to February 2014. Your public service, selflessness, talents have increased the quality of life for the residents of the city of Dover. So this is for Justina. Yeah.
Greetings to everyone. It has been an interesting journey. I thought I would love to be into politics, but I love helping people. I love helping people, but the politics part I can't deal with. But it was a learning experience, and I do wish everyone the best for the next ones that come up.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one here is for Linda Hackett, and it reads the same, of course, January 2012, February 2014. Ms. Hackett, I give that to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your service.
You're welcome.
First of all, I'm going to start off by saying that I'm thankful for the job that all of you do, and I enjoyed my time here, and I wish that we could have worked together more. I didn't see enough of you. I didn't get to know enough of you like I wanted to, but maybe in something else, I'll get that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haggett. And then I have one here from Ms. White, Ms. Faye White, and her service was from November 2011 to February 2014. Thank you very much.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you and give me the opportunity also to be able to serve politically in the field that I was in and also in Philadelphia for 33 years. And I look forward towards working diligently with each and every one, and it truly has been a pleasure. And I thank you for giving me and allowing me the opportunity to be able to continue my political field. Thank you again.
And then we have a cup here for Roy Sudler, served on the commission because of length of time and all of that. So the chair of the committee. So we thank you very much for your service to us and the citizens of the city of Dover.
Thank you.
I would remind everybody, Your Honor, that Mr. Sudler served from July 2004 to February of 2014. Roy,
Great.
personal statement.
Great.
Thank you. I just want to thank the city council and the mayor, especially the mayor, for having the confidence in me to lead in the way that I've led, and also to participate in a very humbling way. I want to thank each and every one of you for my opportunity and my professional growth and development. I look forward to taking what I've learned to the State Human Relations Commission, and I'm sure you won't. You'll see me soon. Thank you. Thank you.
And we have another cup here for Mrs. Dawn Pine. And she served from October 2008 to February 2014.
Well, I have to say, one day I was looking in a newspaper, of course, years ago, and I said, what's this, a Dover Human Relations Commission? And I need to get in there and find out what's going on and see what I can do for my community. So thank you for allowing me to help.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for all your service to our community.
Item number 2B on the agenda this evening is the awards by the Downtown Dover Partnership St. Patrick's Day Parade. I would invite Bill Neaton to join Mayor Carey at the podium this evening, our Economic Development Manager. Bill?
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Good. We got all of our certificates. Yeah. Here we go. Thank you, Ed. Just put them on together.
Yeah. We're going to do this one first because he's in his outfit.
You guys ready?
Oh, okay.
All right.
We're ready.
We'll start off with the Pot of Gold Award. Anything with wheels except park clubs. The Little Creek Fire Department. Is there a representative of the Little Creek Fire Department present this evening? Step forward and get the award.
They're here.
I see someone coming up out of the marsh.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to you. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, gentlemen. Second award is the Rainbow Award for car clubs only, the Lone Wolf Outlaw Cruisers. Someone representing that group here this evening?
Here they are.
You can come down here, ma'am, if you'd like. You don't have to stand in the back. You'll stand right in front of the podium. This lady's going to take it. Thank you very much. Next award is the Blarney Award, Best Mascot, the Delaware State News Newshound.
Yeah.
I happen to see the Newshound in the back. Heather, you want to escort the Newshound down so we don't have an ugly incident?
There you go. Nice and easy. You got another one here. There you go. You got one more. There you go. Thanks for being here. Thanks for giving me the praise. We appreciate it very much.
Heather, come on up front so you can be in the picture too.
Great.
Thank you, folks.
Appreciate you.
One more photograph.
We got one more picture.
Okay. There you go.
You're fine, you're fine.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Watch
you
your
very much.
steps going up.
I would note too, for the record,
Thank you very
that Ed
much.
Doolin, the publisher for the State News, is standing way in the background up at the top. And thank you for all you guys do for the
Appreciate it.
community and particularly for the city of Dover in every aspect. We're really lucky we have two newspapers that contribute a great deal to our local community.
He's gonna call him.
Next is the Green Machine Award for the Best Float Dover Interfaith Mission for Housing.
Yeah, a lot of you. Good to see you too.
Like we have half the parade here.
Hey, hey.
Miss Catherine.
Why don't you accept it for the interfaith mission, okay?
I would be glad to accept it, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. All right.
Yeah, so you get right in the middle there.
Right there. There you go.
While they're taking pictures, Herb and Janine, thank you very much for all you do in the community as well. This is a fine organization. Best of luck in the future as
Thank you
well.
very much. Yes, we appreciate it. Okay? I can get it. Can you get a picture?
Okay.
We'll get you one. We'll get you one.
Okay.
We got it.
One more? Are you just going to take another? Okay. Good. Thank you. All right, thanks, guys. Hold up. Oh, okay. All right.
The councilman wants a picture.
Yeah, something like that.
Tim's found a new profession.
All right.
Act like we know each other. Put on you.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
folks.
Jim.
Next award this evening that will be presented will be for the ARAN Award, the Best Animal, Large, United We Ride, for a representative of the organization. So come on down.
Just wanted to point out the Interfaith Mission, since they've been open for 5 or 6 years now already, they've serviced like 900 men that have come through there, and 700 of them have left and gotten jobs, and they helped them get that done. So, thank them very much.
This is the Large Animal Award.
Congratulations. That's okay.
Like to say
Why don't you
something?
step up here and step up here?
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much.
Next award is the ARAN Award for the Best Animal, Small Animal, Diamond Chihuahuas. Representative of that group here, I see a Diamond Chihuahua coming.
Oh, yeah.
So is she going to accept the award? Okay. She's got it.
Always good crowd, Tom.
Very good. Congratulations.
Next award is the Harp Award for the Best Musical Group, Not a Band, Stax Entertainment, featuring local recording artist JQ.
They really had a lot of energy if you saw them.
Yeah.
Is he going to make some?
Okay, there we go.
He's the boss.
He's the
All right,
boss.
boss, come on up here.
Come on, boss.
Get your picture taken. Stand over here, guys.
There you are. There you go. Congratulations. Next is the Emerald Isle Award, Most Authentic Irish Theme. Emily Young, Alyssa Claycomb, Ashlyn Phillips, the Irish Dancers. Are the girls here this evening? There they come.
There they come.
That's okay.
Let's get your picture.
Let's get right up here. You guys are
There you
great.
go.
You can come down and get a picture.
If you want to get a picture, you can come right on down. Come right on down.
Don't worry about it.
Don't be bashful. Every mom deserves to have a picture like that of their daughter.
Rose between two thorns.
That is.
Thank you very much.
She's going to give you a little dance. Sure.
All right.
Music.
Not without the music. Real fun.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why can't the two thorns do that?
See the two
There's no
thorns?
meaning to a cappella, does there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're next, girl. You gotta do that now.
Next one is the Leprechaun Award.
You and I know how to do that, Bill.
Best Brigade Marching Unit, not a band, the 436th Air Wing and 373rd Training Group at Dover Air Force. Anybody from the base here this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. It's the McNamara Award, the Best High School Marching Band, Dover High School Senators Marching Band, the pride of the Capitol. Gentlemen, come on down.
Which one we got?
I think we Dover High.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, great. Fabulous.
Gentlemen, if you'll turn around, let the photographer get a photograph of you.
Let's get your picture. Great, thank you.
What instruments you guys play? Sax. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you all. Next award this evening is Shamrock Award, the Best Adult Marching Band, Delaware Technical and Community College Hammer and Hawks. Anybody here from Del Tech tonight?
Good seeing you, buddy.
And our last award is the Mary Fitzpatrick Award, Best Overall, the Dover High School Senators Marching Band, again, the pride of the Capitol.
Come on, Tim.
Great. Thanks again, guys.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Same picture as last time.
Yeah. I just want to thank all the participants that come out for Saturday's parade. I think we had a exceptional amount of people turn out on the sidewalks watching the parade. All through the parade route, it was just a nice day and a terrific turnout. I think it's the biggest turnout we've had for the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun, and as a member of the Downtown Dover Partnership and a member of the City of Dover, I've had the good fortune of being able to announce the parade over the last 5 years. And the parade could not ever happen without the great volunteers that the Downtown Dover Partnership has. And I'd like to take just a second to recognize the parade coordinator who coordinates the St. Patrick's Day Parade and the Home for the Holidays Parade, and Gary Chafee. We could not do it without him. Gary, if you'd come on down, please.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Gary, say a couple of words, please.
Well, I've been doing this for about 8 years now. the two parades. I've only lost one due to weather. And
That was my fault, right?
yeah, that was your fault, not mine. So I'm very pleased to do it. I enjoy doing it. I've met a lot of good people doing it, and I will continue doing it as long as they'll have me.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good job.
Next item on the agenda this evening is a proclamation for Earth Hour, March 29, 2014, between 8:30 until 9:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, proclamation into the record.
Whereas Earth Hour was initiated 8 years ago when participants were encouraged to turn out their lights for 1 hour to show their support for climate change, and more than 2.2 million individuals and 2,000 businesses chose to do so. And whereas since that time, the Earth Hour movement has expanded to symbolize the global pursuit of a better, healthier world. Last year, Earth Hour reached over 2.8 billion people in more than 7,000 cities and towns across 154 countries. And whereas Earth Hour encourages individuals, businesses, and governments to become accountable for their ecological footprint by communicating ideas and exchanging resources that provide real solutions to environmental challenges. Whereas the City of Dover encourages residents to make a commitment beyond the hour by continuing to recycle, switching to energy-efficient light bulbs, and making conscious decisions to change the way we live to better our community. And whereas your participation in Earth Day shows a commitment to protect the one thing that unites us all, the planet. Now, therefore, I, Carlton E. Carey Sr., Mayor of the City of Dover, Delaware, do hereby support the observation of Earth Hour in the City of Dover, Delaware on March 29, 2014, and encourage residents and businesses to participate by turning out non-essential lights from 8:30 to 9:30.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda this evening is a presentation by the Dover Police Department of their 2013 annual report. I would request that Chief Hosfeld come to the podium for the presentation. Chief, welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it. Just wanted to go through the annual report, highlight some areas, and talk about some concerns we have going forward. The first slide you'll see, and again, this is just a highlight of the annual report you should have received in your packet, the electronic version. But you can see our complaints have pretty much leveled out over the course of the last 3 years. This is where I expect them to stay. I don't expect any sudden jump. We don't anticipate anything for any means. And so again, I'm comfortable saying anywhere from 34 to 36,000, I think, is where we're going to stay over the course of the next few years. Our total Group A crimes, when we talk about Group A crimes, this is anything and everything. It could be an arson, it could be a criminal mischief, a burglary, a robbery. This includes everything that's listed in basically in Title 11. So as you can see, we're seeing a steady decline over the course of the last 3 years in our Group A crimes. And again, this is all crimes across the city, whether they be misdemeanors, felonies, what have you. So the nice thing about that is, again, it's a 3-year decline, and we're proud of that. A lot of that goes back to deployment strategies, different ideas that we've had and we've bounced around as a staff. And most importantly, it goes to the hard work. It's just the men and the women out there doing the hard work. They're responsible for this. You know, we can come up with all the ideas and all the deployment strategies we want, but if we don't have the right people out there doing the work, it's not going to get done. Another thing that we're happy to report are violent crime. Again, you can see a steady decline. We're proud of that, and we're happy to report that. I think if you're looking at 2011, I believe that was the year that we had 6 homicides. Since then, we have had 1, and that was actually in January of last year. So it's been, knock on wood, it's been 14 months since we've had a homicide in the city of Dover. And again, our violent crime, and that's murder, rape, robbery, any type of assault. we're happy to report that, again, we're a 3-year decline. So that's nice to report, and I think that's important to point out. Part of that violent crime would be your robberies. And again, you're seeing a steady decline over the course of the last 3 years. And the nice thing about that with the robberies, you're seeing a steady decline, and the clearance rates are ever increasing. So a true indicator of how we compare as a police department against the nation, other police departments throughout the nation. This is not just police departments of our size. This is police departments of any and all sizes. The average clearance rate is about 33%, and we're more than double that. So again, that speaks volumes. It's not just for the detectives that are clearing these crimes, but it speaks volumes for our first responders, the men and women in uniform who are out there actually getting to the scene, making those apprehensions, sometimes just after the crime has occurred. A lot of that credit comes back to those people that are reporting to us and giving us information through our new websites, Facebook, Twitter, those different things. So there's a lot of credit to be spread about, both to the men and women that work at the police department, to the public as well. So a lot of good work there being done by everybody. Burglaries, again, happy to report this is not included in the violent crime. However, this would be included in your Group A crimes. Again, another steady decrease, and we're happy to report this. And you'll see again through the next slide, probably one of the hardest crimes to clear, not just in Dover, but anywhere throughout the nation. Burglary is a very tough crime to clear. So again, the average is about 13.6%. We're clearing them. This year, we cleared them at 58.2%. When you notice, if you look in your annual report, when you look at the electronic packet, you'll see a slight difference in the percentage rates when we talk about just about the detective section. And that simply goes to what we can report. There's only so many ways we can report a cleared crime to the national database, although we may clear it through means where the victim didn't cooperate with us or we just knew it not to be true. The national database won't let us clear that crime that way, but you'll see a difference in the numbers. So I just wanted to explain that to you as you look through it. Drug offenses, you'll see a spike here. And someone had asked me a question earlier in the week. You'll see 776 drug offenses, and 770 of them were cleared. Simply by the nature of drug work, you're going to have anywhere from 95 to 100% clearance rate. Drugs come with a known suspect. Usually when we work a drug case, we're getting a call from a neighbor, from a residence, or someone reporting information to us. So when we go into that investigation, we already have somebody earmarked that we know is responsible for that crime. So again, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to see a higher clearance rate when it comes to drug offenses than you will any other crime. Crashes, this is an area of concern for us. Our tickets are up this year. Usually we see a correlation. When our tickets are up, we see our crashes go down. You're not going to see that this year. Our crashes are up and our tickets are up. So the more concerning part of this would be that our crashes, the area that we're up, and I think it's the next slide will point that out, are actually the PI and the fatal accidents. Those are the areas where we have increased. So we're seeing more personal injury accidents, PI, personal injury, than we are. Just a property damage accident where nobody's hurt, actually we've seen a slight drop. So again, that's a concern. We're looking at that, and we continue to work with the Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They continue to provide funding, which you'll see on the grant page, so that our officers can go out and work extra duty with things like seat belt, child restraint, and DUI patrols and other things of that nature. Traffic arrest, I believe that number, without putting my glasses on, is at 18,426. That is a lot of tickets being written. Very proud of that. There's no more of a clear indication of doing more with less. This year we were down a couple people. We just graduated 2 from the academy and hired a certified officer, which put us back to 93. But due to injuries, those officers being in the academy, the majority of the year in 2013, we probably worked with anywhere from 85 to 88 people. That's just the way, it's the way it works out for us. That's not uncommon to be down. We're down due to injuries, whether it be pregnancies, different things that that going on. Again, and I've told you this before. When we put somebody in the academy, from the minute that we get permission from you to hire somebody, and we get that person hired to put them to the academy, and they're any good to us, we're anywhere from a year to 18 months. So it's a long process to get that person. So again, those people that we have on FTO, that process started last April, over a year ago for us, and they're still on FTO. So we're very proud of those recruits. Took home a lot of awards from the academy when they graduated. So they'll be on the street here by themselves soon. That slide is actually very small. I apologize for that. But this is also in your packet. It is a breakdown of the different offenses that we write most of our traffic tickets for. And again, it's in the packet. It could be anywhere from speeding, stop signs, fail to yield right away. And then you'll get into the licensing, driving while suspended, those things of that nature. Then you get into the passenger restraint, seat belt, and cell phone laws on the bottom. So again, we've written a lot of traffic tickets, and we've done a very good job with that this year. Police revenue, parking fines, and reports. Our revenues are up this year slightly, in 2013 compared to 2012. And this page leads to the grants, and this is a list of the grants that we manage. We do this in conjunction with both state, local grants, federal grants, and different resources that we reach out to. A lot of these state and federal grants actually come to us. And again, that all goes back to the number of tickets we've wrote. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is a perfect example. They'll constantly call us anytime they have extra money, extra funds to spend. They'll call us because they know for a fact that Dover police officers are going to go out, write those tickets, and get the results to answer for the funds being spent. So that's a lot of money going in and out. A copy of our organizational chart. The reason I put this in there just as a reminder, for the first time with the hiring of these 3 officers that we just put on, we will have 4 12-man platoons and 4 platoons with 3 dispatchers each. So that's the first time in history of Dover Police Department we've ever seen that. And again, that goes to the cooperation from council, letting us hire that extra dispatcher last year. So everybody is on board. 2 of the dispatchers are finishing up their training, should be done by the end of the month, I believe, end of April maybe. And the officers are probably going to be on their own by the end of May. So that's a good thing for Dover. That's a good thing for the citizens. And so it's a big thank you to you as council members for giving us that ability to do that. These are a couple of our finest. We wanted to recognize the top picture is Officer Scott Hurd. He looks nothing like that picture at the current time. Believe me, he works in an undercover capacity. And we're very proud of what he has done. He has seized an extraordinary amount of oxycodone, prescription medication, marijuana, cocaine, and an excessive amount, a scary amount of heroin. Heroin is here to stay, and I'm surprised it didn't overtake cocaine in this area as the drug of choice, but it is close. It's a close second right now. So Scott does a great job for us, and we're very proud of him. And then our Civilian of the Year is Dispatcher Mark Hall. Mark has done a great job for us. What put him over the top this year is the Civilian of the Quarter and Civilian of the Year. Mark answered a telephone call from a suicidal subject, was able to talk the subject down, if you will, and gain the information needed for our responding units. And they were able to get there, take the subject into custody, and get him to the medical, get him the medical help that he required. And then Mark was also instrumental in working our downtown security cameras one night last summer. And I can't show that video to you. I'm going to show you another video here in a second. But on that evening, Mark was watching the cameras, monitoring the cameras, and it's just an additional duty that we had the dispatchers do when they have the time. We have them look at these cameras. And he saw some subjects gathering around South New Street. Things didn't look right. He kept watching them. Lo and behold, he saw them go back and forth to the trunk of a vehicle, and they armed themselves with masks and with guns. And because of Mark's attention to detail, the sergeant that evening was able to formulate a plan. We're able to watch it. It's kind of like, you know the play before, if you're the opposing team, you know the play they're calling before they even come to the field. So Mark watched that live, provided the information to the responding units, and we're able to take everybody into custody, recover the weapons, and nobody got hurt. So he's done a great job for us as well. Public Information Officer, this is one of the changes that we've made recently. Corporal Mark Hoffman is doing an outstanding job for us with Facebook, with doverpolice.org. If you haven't logged on to that, please do so. Please like us on Facebook, as they say. But Mark does a great job. Because of his efforts, I know for a fact we've solved at least one or two robberies from information that has been gained through the internet, through people supplying us information after Mark has posted things on the internet, put it out to the public. So again, it's a great tool, long overdue. It took us a while to get there, and that's more my fault than anything. I was just one of those old dinosaurs that just couldn't push the button to do that. But it's a well-run unit, and he answers to the Public Information Officer. But Mark does a great job. He doesn't do that full time. What he does when he's not busy with that, he also assists the community policing unit and works with them out in the public. It shows you a picture of Detective Kevin Strebwick. Kevin does a great job for us, one of our top performers in the criminal investigation unit. I think overall he investigates anything from financial crimes to homicides. He handles or clears probably about 98.6% of his cases, I believe. So you see him there holding the Crime Stoppers Detective of the Year award for mid-sized agencies. That is an award that we have taken for as many years as I can count. Our people do an incredible job, and it's just an award we keep taking home every year. We're very proud of Kevin and everybody else that works up there with him. This is a slide. I want to talk to you a little bit. This happened last August. This is the Square Club, if you will. We refer to it as the Square Club. This is Reed Street between Queen and Kirkwood. Late to mid-August, 2:30 in the morning. And this is actual camera footage from our downtown surveillance photos or video system. This system has paid, I can't tell you the dividends it has paid for us. We have solved so many crimes because of this system. We are currently working with Advantech, planning a next phase in hopes that our state legislators may be able to come up with some funding for that. And this next phase would be 12 cameras. And with 12 cameras, it will actually give us access to 36 additional cameras. The reason I say that is because the state of Delaware, the housing authority, local businesses are hearing about our success, and they're actually reaching out to us to see if they can tie their system into our system so that we can help keep an eye on their properties. So again, this next phase, we're looking at the housing authority in Simon Circle, trying to reach out to Senate View, which will include Legg Hall, and then also reach to the transit station, which is a couple blocks south of the police station. So if we could we're going to try to speed this up just a little bit. I thought I would talk long enough. But what you're going to see here, this gentleman right here has a rifle, has an assault rifle. And he's going up here to the corner of Queen and Reed. The reason for that is because he just drove by a drug dealer on Queen Street, and that drug dealer shot at him. So he came around and he parked here in Kirkwood, ran up here with his assault rifle, and is getting ready to shoot back. But lo and behold, one of my patrol cars is coming northbound on Queen Street. So as my patrol car comes north on Queen Street, he then turns and runs, and you'll see him come back down here on the sidewalk. Here he comes running, and here comes my patrol car. Now, you can say my patrol car missed him, and you see him running back northbound. I'm damn glad that he did miss him, because if that patrol car would have stopped, if he would have saw that individual and stopped, well, I don't know what choice that individual would have had. He had an assault rifle my cop sitting there in a car trying to get out of a car, there's no match. So I am very grateful that he didn't see that subject. The first responding officer keyed in on the first subject he saw. He didn't see that subject, immediately off to his side. So again, we're very thankful, and there were higher powers looking out for our officers that night. But again, that's what happens, or what can happen in the city of Dover when we're all home tucked away in bed, me included. This is what our people are dealing with out there. So we're very fortunate this was captured on video. Both subjects were apprehended. The rifle was seized. I don't think it has been destroyed yet, but it soon will be after the case is adjudicated in court. And our last slide, we thought it necessary this year. We came up with a military award to recognize our veterans. You can see third there is Captain Chaplain Wallace Dixon, one of our honorary captains. And we have a very large, I think about 44 to 45% of our department are veterans, and we're very proud of that, a lot of which have served in the ongoing conflicts that we've had here with the last 10 to 15 years. So very proud of that. And it also includes our civilian personnel, several of which are retired from the military. That concludes my report. I would be happy to stand for any questions that you may have. I think it's a good report. We're very proud of the work that everybody has done. And again, that all starts with the support that we receive from council. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief. Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Williams.
Chief, thank you for everything that you have done. My question is about juvenile crime. Do you keep juvenile crime statistics?
We do. I don't think that we have reported on it in the annual report. I don't know that's something we've always or have ever done, to be honest with you, but we could get those statistics to you.
Great, that would be wonderful.
Mr. Hutchison.
Chief, I certainly want to express to you and to certainly your entire police department, every member, and all the departments that support the police department day in and day out. This is a report that this community, yourself, and every member of the department can indeed be very proud of. I think it's important for the community certainly to be very pleased with and looking at, when you look at robberies and burglaries, to think that there is no other police department in the state that has the kind of clearance percentage that the Dover Police Department has. And that's a reflection on personnel, a reflection on training, equipment, and teamwork. And I certainly express most sincere congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And the other thing I think is important, when you look at total statistics, to think that they handled 35,678 complaints last year. 35,678. When you break that down, that's 686 complaints per week. The police department is busy, extremely so. And I think it's important to point out that last year, the chief and the department seized 77 handguns. 77. 21 rifles, 8 shotguns, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Chief, thank you for a job well done.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions by members of council? Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Chief, I want to express my sincere appreciation for all the men and women of the Dover Police Department, for everything they do every day for our citizens. You just can't go without question of the professionalism and the job that they do every day. So please thank the men and women of the police department for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you too.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you would please direct this to the chief. I am also like to say I'm grateful for your service, and of course obviously the service of each and every person in the department. And as time goes on and you move forward, just wanted to say thank you, because the commitment over the last 3 years to get a hold on crime and increase security has been beneficial to the lives of all of our citizens and to the economic development of the city. And I also am grateful that the city police department has truly led the way in the city when it comes to diversity and in the last couple of years, and especially in promotions. And I think that's something that actually should be noted.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Hare, and then Mrs. Williams.
No, sir.
I just want to say that I think we all appreciate the job that they do, but if no one here has gone out and done ride-alongs with them, you can't really truly appreciate what they do until you've actually been on the scene when something's happening, when you go into a home where wife and children have been just beat up by and father's gone, and you track them down, and you see what they do to help the community. And having had to be pulled myself because when a citizen started chewing out the policeman for not getting there quick enough to unlock his car when we were at a liquor store robbery, and I went off on the citizen and had to be pulled away from by the policeman. And one final note, it's quite an experience to go from Mifflin Road to Dover Downs in less than 2 minutes. I will say that.
Mrs. Williams.
Chief, last thing I wanted to say is, you know, I serve on the Criminal Justice Council, the Juvenile Justice Advisory Group, and I've served since 1977, and I've had exposure to every police force in this city. I'm in the state, and this one is the best one, by far.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Chief, we thank you, and we'd just like to relate it back to all the troops that they're doing a good job. Continue to do that. And as a chaplain, we pray for you daily.
Thank you. We need that.
Seeing no other comments.
One more, Dave.
Before I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman Hare.
And I didn't hear it in the report, but it should be noted too that they have a victim services department led by Diane Glenn that is, in my opinion, second to none anywhere. She does an excellent job and has been received awards for it.
Yes.
So that should also be noted in the report too. She does an excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Before I call for a vote on the acceptance of Chief's report, I would like to make note that this is your last appearance before council as police chief. And Jim, I think you've done a remarkable job under some very trying circumstances during your career as police chief. And I think that obviously we'll give you the appropriate send-off at some point in time. But I never thought I'd be sitting here more proud of a police department than I could possibly be. You've had some pretty good shoes to fill over the last few years. You've done an excellent job, and I'm very proud that you've been our police chief while I was a member of this council. And I think, you know, when Hutch and I look back on what the police department was like back when we were on the road, people can't understand the difference and the challenges that a police officer faces today. No matter whether you're stopping a person on a bicycle, or stopping a person for a routine traffic violation, or going a midnight shift and doing alley patrols. Police officers are much more likely to be shot at or assaulted than they ever have been in all of our lives. And it goes without saying we're deeply appreciative.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That being said, what's the pleasure of council? I need a motion to accept.
Move for acceptance of the report.
Second. By Mr. Hare, seconded by Mrs. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, item number 5B, proposed ordinance amending Appendix Z, zoning Article 3, district regulations. B1, ordinance 2014-05, amended Section 2, general residence zone, RG1 and RG2, subsection 2.4, conditional uses. I would request Councilman Dixon, Chair of the committee, brief us on that item, and if he feels it appropriate, we'd be happy to have Mrs. Townsend give us any clarification. Go ahead, sir.
We'll go with B1, which was recommended to adopt the ordinance number 2014-06. And it was recommended and unanimously voted to present that one to you as staff have given us.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any questions of Mr. Dixon? Seeing none, it's a pleasure of council with the approval of the committee's recommendation.
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, motion by Mr. Anderson to approve the recommendation by the committee.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hutchison. Questions on the motion? All those in favor?
I have a question. It's a question for Ms. Townsend, just for clarification.
Sure, thank you.
This issue originally, I think, came to us as a proposed rezoning on Division Street, did it not?
There was...
A single property on Division Street, and where I'm headed is, how did it go from a single property on Division Street that didn't have enough support to conditional use all along Division Street and half of North State Street?
Okay, the way this kind of evolved, there was an application for a rezoning for a property on Division Street, as you said, and that application would have rezoned the property to RGO, which is general residence and office. And the neighboring residents were very concerned about the array of uses that are allowed in the RGO zone, which could include things such as apartments. And when they came forward to the public hearing before Planning Commission, what they said is, we're okay with an office, but we're not okay with all of the other things that can happen in that zone. So it was at that point that there was discussion about creating a very narrowly defined conditional use within the RG1 zone on those major roads that would allow professional office as a conditional use with proper distancing requirements, and rather than change the zoning of a property that would allow things that people, you heard tonight, considered objectionable, like conversion to apartments and things like that.
Okay, and not to get ahead of this, I know we have a long way to go on this, but
right.
The off-street parking requirements for offices would then be mapped into the conditional use. And for many of these properties, that means that that traffic is going to have to flow through the alleys of North State Street, both the east and the west alleys. Is that correct?
Yes, and the way that the off-street parking reads is that it's a minimum of 2, which is the same as it would be for a residence, and a maximum of 4. So it really would limit the size of any type of office establishment based on those.
So my concern is going to be those alleys are just not engineered for additional traffic. As someone who lives on one of those alleys, I can tell you that. But that's my personal opinion. So, thank you.
Mrs. Williams.
This question is also for Mrs. Townsend. I used to be a resident of North State Street, living right next to where the late Bill Hudson lived. It was at that time the Dawson, not Dawson, my next door neighbors were the Hopkins bus. We had a tremendously difficult time parking, especially because we were adjacent, right across the street from Wesley College. And although it may be 2 or a maximum of 4 parking places that the guidelines would recommend, how can that be enforced or regulated for the residents on State Street? Because when Wesley's in for that whole section, you can forget finding any parking at all.
Again, for any professional office to be established within this area, if the ordinance were to be adopted, it would be a conditional use application. So that means that there would be an application regarding a specific property that would have the information relevant to that property. There would be public notice associated with that specific request, which would include, mailing to property owners within 200 feet, a legal ad in the paper, and a yellow sign. And at that point, residents would be able to express concern. So there may be properties where you can't feasibly do it, but there are other properties where it may work better. So really, with the conditional use, the application, the circumstances regarding the specific property and the resident concerns around there, or the neighboring property owner concerns around that specific property, inform the Planning Commission's decision on whether it happens and what conditions are added as special protections to keep it in check.
Let me make sure I've got this clear, if you would. If I started a private practice and I had more than 4 patients coming in 4 separate cars, because I had a group, I was running a group, it would be up to the residents to notify the city of Dover I had violated?
No, if you were going to legally establish that practice, you would need to come to us first.
And you would tell me I can have a maximum of 4.
The Planning Commission would determine, based on the public input and the review of the application, that it could be that they could determine that the proposed use, the scope of your practice is out of character with the area and wouldn't be appropriate. Or they could determine that you would need to, you couldn't have more than X,
Then one
Y,
final
Z.
question. If they approve that the scope was within the confines of the practice, it was approved, who then would be the enforcer? It seems to me it's going to be the residents. It's not going to be the city.
It's a combination. We've had areas before where conditional uses have been granted, and the property owners or tenants have violated the conditions of that conditional use. If we become aware of it, we begin to document it, and then we can take it to the Planning Commission to revoke the conditional use.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Slavin.
Yeah, I just need a clarification. One of the speakers earlier this evening had mentioned about the historic district protections in that area. I know the National Register District for the Victorian District runs down North State Street. The city's historic district does not run that far.
The city's historic district goes, I think, on State Street it goes to Delaware Avenue. So it does not, the city's historic district does not go that far north.
Right, so any property that we're talking about along North State Street above Delaware Avenue all the way up to Mary would only have to go before the Planning Commission. It wouldn't have to go before the Historic District Commission as well.
Right, unless we were to change the boundaries of the historic
So we're going to need to
district.
be very, very careful when we communicate this through this process that that's the case, because sometimes people hear historic district and they rightfully say they're in a historic district, but a National Register District
Doesn't.
offers no protection
Right,
for this at all.
regardless of the use.
Right.
I mean,
it's just
Right.
silent on that. It's a federal issue
Right.
about protecting it from federal undertakings, among other things. So, there may be an alignment of the districts that we want to look at.
We've talked
to help-
about that.
To help protect that and also get some of the confusion out of there. I'm not necessarily opposed or for this. I think I have to kind of get with my constituents and listen to a little bit of what the concerns are. I'm all for adaptive reuse of historic structures. I think that's a very good preservation tool. I just worry that this feels right now like a slippery slope that we're putting this part of the city on. And I want to be very careful about that, but I appreciate your answers tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. Any further questions, council? See none. All those in favor of referral signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item B2, the ordinance 2014-06, amending section 17, the shopping center development, permitted uses. The chair of the committee, Mr. Dixon, can you brief us on that item? Need clarification from Mrs. Townsend? Feel free to.
I would like for her to, the letter we have tonight on that area. I'd like to explain that.
Refer that to Mrs. Townsend.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mrs. Townsend, can you brief us on it?
Okay, thank you. The ordinance that is before you was that, under the recommendation of the committee, they had recommended that it not be approved by council. There are two pieces to it, and one of them is the issue that brought the attention of the neighboring property owner. The two pieces were, one, a change to the SC3, which is the regional shopping center zone, that would allow apartments and multifamily dwellings, if there were part of a mixed-use development, and assign some of the bulk standards as to how tall they can be. That did not receive a favorable recommendation from City Council, or I'm sorry, from the Parks, Recreation, and Community Enhancement Committee due to the testimony that was shared at that meeting. The other piece of that ordinance, you have a letter in front of you this evening from Mr. Barry Anstein, who is with JBA Green Tree Properties, which is Green Tree Village Shopping Center. And when he found out that this ordinance was moving forward that affected the shopping center zone, he had talked to me about including something that would allow light vehicle maintenance with very strict criteria that everything happen inside a building and that cars not be stored on the site, because he's been in discussions with AAA about having a car care center that's accessory to their office. So when he found out that this ordinance was not recommended to move forward, he submitted a letter today requesting that rather than the entire ordinance not moving forward, he would prefer that the SC3 changes be stricken from it and that the SC2 changes move forward. So that's what this letter that you have before you is about. But the recommendation coming out of committee was that the ordinance not move forward. Again, the discussion there was primarily the regional shopping center.
Thank you.
I got to ask the obvious question if I could.
Mr. Slave and then Mrs. Williams.
Could the person who's writing this letter, could they ask for conditional use for that specific property?
No, it's not in there. So.
Mrs. Williams.
How many cars could you park inside?
Speak into the microphone, ma'am.
How many cars could you park inside Blockbuster?
Well, I think what they're looking to do is something similar to, say, a Jiffy Lube, where the turnaround is very brief, it's light service, it's not, when I first started talking to him about this, I expressed concern about some of the vehicle maintenance and repair places that we've had problems with. So the idea is that you would have a bay or two where you can pull in a car, do the work, and then they're on their way.
Mr. Hutchison. Oh, sorry, Mr.
I am a
Williams.
board member of the AAA Insurance Board, so therefore I would have to abstain from this.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Williams, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to conceptually and visually try and figure out how I would get into Blockbuster with my car.
Lots of building renovations.
That back area is I believe that back.
They would have to come through with full building plans, and they would get, fire code, building code, and zoning review.
Even though they might.
Right. This doesn't allow them to do that. He's explaining why he would like that piece of it to move forward. It doesn't mean that it's not without other issues. It would just allow it as a use.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Any further? Mr. Hare.
I think this is not bad if we do the SC2, because it does do something that will, in some fashion, cultivate businesses that come in to Dover. I can understand the SC3 part of it, building apartment. Why anybody would want to live in an apartment building built behind the Dover Mall, right next to Dover Downs, is beyond me anyhow, but I can understand that part of it not being put in there. But allowing, like the Blockbuster building, if they have to get their plans all approved, and there's other shopping centers
that might have something that is conditional, not conditional use, but allowed to go in there, I think this would help develop business in these shopping centers with some of the vacancies. So I would be in favor of eliminating the SC3 part of it, leaving it with SC2.
Any rebuttal, Mrs. Townsend?
No?
All right. All right, we have a motion before us we need to make on approving the committee's recommendation if you move it forward, or rejecting the item and perhaps sending it back to committee to have the two items separated. Mr. Hare. And then, I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson.
A point of information, Mr. President. Would the next move for this to, if it were to move forward, be to refer it to Planning Commission, or would that be the next move?
Yes, it's my understanding we'd go before the planning. Mr. Hare.
Wouldn't it go back to committee to make if I make a recommendation that it be sent back to committee with the change that the SC3 be eliminated and it be represented as with the SC2 proposal?
I believe that's the case. Mrs. Townsend, you want to go ahead?
I don't believe it needs to go back to committee to be amended. I believe that you could simply amend the ordinance to strike lines 7 through 18.
Okay. Mrs. Williams?
And then refer it.
The committee voted against this.
Yes.
That's correct.
So it would need, they've already told us what they want. It wouldn't have to go back.
Right.
So are we voting on 1 and 2 together? Because they recommended the first one.
You already voted on the first one.
Right.
So now
this
you're
is-
voting
on the second.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Now, if we,
Mr. Hare.
they recommended not to move it forward. So if we vote not to accept that, then we make another recommendation to send it back to the committee, or?
You could make a recommendation. You don't need to make a recommendation. You could amend the ordinance to strike lines 7 through 18 and refer the amended ordinance to the Planning Commission and council as stated in item 10 on the agenda where it sets the dates. You don't have to send it back to committee to do that.
Mr. President.
Mr. Slavin.
So right now, we could simply accept the report of the committee with a simple motion, and when item 10B comes up,
That
we
is
could make
correct.
a motion that simply sends this on without certain language in it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I would defer to the clerk.
Well, hold on just a minute. As I understand, the committee the committee recommended against it. We can amend the ordinance as sent to us by striking the lines that Mrs. Townsend
That would be
pointed
under
out.
item number 10.
Yes,
I don't
right,
know.
on item number 10.
No, it has to be
But
done
since the committee recommended against the proposed ordinance 2014-06, we have to take a motion, or have to have a vote to either accept their recommendation or deny their recommendation.
If we want to accept the recommendation, the motion would have to be, it would be a positive,
A positive
motion
would
for
be
a
a
negative action.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I move that we accept the committee's recommendation with a full intent to vote no on this.
I second that.
Mr. Slavin, seconded by Mrs. Wilson, or Mrs. Williams. All right. Any questions on the motion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Mr. President, I think that this particular ordinance adds value to the city. I think that adding amendments to it, making certain amendments could allay some legitimate concerns. I believe the process should go forward with those amendments and other public input. I believe that we are too often shackling businesses in this city. I don't see where it makes sense to say, no, we don't want jobs. We're talking about shopping centers that already have the same traffic, that already have plenty of parking and vehicles parking in them. It doesn't matter why they're parking there for an hour. I believe that denying this type of action is denying jobs and is denying people's right to do what they need to with their property as long as it's not bothering other people.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Slavin.
I think in response to that, I don't plan to deny the action. I just plan to deny the recommendation from the committee. And then in the ordinance.
So a positive vote is to deny the recommendation.
A yes is a no, and a no is a yes.
Well, we don't agree with the committee. We vote no.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Mr. Perza.
If it goes up for public hearing, does it matter what we do? If we're voting to recommend that the committee would be reversed, whatnot, is it still going for a public hearing for yes or no debate on what the public thinks?
If you accept if you accept the committee's recommendation, it will not have a first reading and go forward to the.
So to move it on, to let the people talk, we have to vote no.
That's correct.
All right.
Everybody understand?
No is
clear as mud.
Okay. Clear as mud? You got that, Mr. Slavin. Seeing no further questions on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carries.
motion doesn't.
Now we need a motion.
Fails.
Motion fails.
Recommendation fails.
Or the recommendation fails, sorry about that. Now we entertain a motion to accept the committee's full.
Application to accept the report.
Second.
By Mr. Perza and Mr. Hare. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6 on the agenda tonight's Utility Committee report, Garrison Oak Technical Park Transmission Line Relocation Capital Improvement Project. Mrs. Williams.
Thank you. Utility Committee recommended authorizing the city manager to create a new capital improvement project, a CIP, titled Garrison Oak Technical Park, GOTP, but I would recommend that we don't use the acronym because there's too many acronyms used already. Let's just call it the Garrison Oak Technical Park. Transmission line relocation to facilitate the construction of the road, the entrance infrastructure at the Garrison Oak Technical Park. This proposed budget is $550,000, and the project will begin in FY 2014 and be completed in FY 2013, commiserate with the opening of the Calpine plant.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Questions? Pleasure of council. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. President, I actually had a question if 550 was actually a real number.
You can't ask a question. You need a motion before you can have a question.
Mr. President, I move that the committee recommendation be accepted.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dixon. Any questions on the motion? Now, Mr. Anderson.
And I guess, Mr. President, is this particular number going to be re-studied, or is it a pretty firm number? Because that's been a concern recently.
Thank you. I'll refer to Mr. Koenig.
The $550,000 is the project budget. The current estimate for the project is around $516,000 for construction. So we believe that this is the upper end of the budget and would not need adjustments going forward.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Pleasure to count. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Record show there was one no by Mr. Slavin. We have an entertain, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's report.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Anderson. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Item number 8, the Horse Pond Substation Project Amendments and Evaluation of Proposal. It was first considered March 10th, 2014. scheduled for reconsideration based on more detailed project information. I'll defer to Mr. Koenig on this one.
Thank you, Council President Bonar. In the packet tonight is a 3-page memorandum giving the status of the project as of March 19, 2014, and then I have some additional information before the recommendations are made tonight. But in general, I'd like to focus on 3 components of the project that have escalated in cost since the original project budgets were developed. The first component is really the engineering side of it. We brought before Council a number of months ago a design contract for $50,000 to assist in-house staff with the electrical design of the substation and sealing of the drawings. In the intervening time, our engineering staff has needed additional help with the design, and that has driven the cost over $50,000. In addition to that, we have added a request for engineering services for commissioning in an amount roughly $65,000. So the engineering component of this project for the substation side has risen from $50,000 to a current not to exceed estimate of $145,000. This includes all of the engineering services necessary to complete the substation side of the project. The next item of the project, or component of the project, that has seen a rather large increase in cost was the cost of the transmission poles that were purchased. There are 8 poles associated with this, the transmission fold-in component of the project. Those poles were originally estimated at roughly $60,000 for the material. The actual material cost of that was $154,900. And those poles have already been purchased and are due to be shipped to the site in April. The final component that's driving the escalation in cost is the actual transmission line construction. We had originally budgeted this, or estimated this cost at $150,000. The work was bid out, and the low bid that was being proposed for acceptance was $550,000. An increase of over $400,000 for this single component of the project. And as of the 19th, I was recommending moving forward with that component. I have confirmed that we can complete the substation component of this project before the weather gets warm in June. We're estimating a May 31st completion of the substation component. And I indicated in the memo on March 19th that we were trying to confirm the timeline for the transmission work. Since that time, we have determined that the low bid cannot complete the transmission work between now and the end of the fiscal year, and therefore that transmission work should be delayed until the fall once the loads go down and the weather cools some. So we're recommending as of today that we complete the substation upgrade and commissioning by the end of the fiscal year. The target completion of that will be June 1st of 2014. And as I indicated, we are confident that transmission line work cannot be completed by the end of this fiscal year due to commitments on other projects by the low bidder. And we are therefore recommending that we reject the bids at this point for the transmission line work. In lieu of the bid for the transmission line work, staff will issue a separate contract for pole foundations, and will further evaluate whether internal staff can set the 8 poles that I indicated have been purchased. Provided we can accomplish those things, there's likely to be another contract that will be rebid in the fall for any work that the city cannot complete in-house. So I would like to change the final recommendation for tonight to read as follows. Based on all the available information, my final recommendation is as follows. City manager recommends the following action. 1, to authorize the city manager to increase the project budget for project number EE1408 from $730,900 to as much as $1,301,100. Second item is to authorize the city manager to execute the necessary amendments to the engineering service agreement for Horse Pond Road Substation with Pike Energy Solutions LLC from $50,000 to a not-to-exceed amount of $145,000 based on time and materials for design-related assistance as well as commissioning-related services which were not part of the original design contract. The third item is to authorize the city manager to reject all bids in response to bid item number 14-0022EL and issue bid packages to complete the transmission line work by the end of the calendar year 2014. And the final action would be, once the project is complete, transfer any unused funds from project EE1408 to other electric CIPs with the primary focus on the General Scott switchgear project, which is EE1312. This project is, as I indicated previously, our number one project that we would like to complete. We have roughly spent about $373,000 to date, and it is important that we get those components into the system and operational so that we can actually realize the improvements in reliability related to the upgrade. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Williams and Mr. Hare.
Mr. Koenig, could any of these prices been avoided?
Could any of the prices been avoided?
The amended prices?
Well, we're trying to avoid the transmission line work price. The pole costs was just those are fixed costs. Most of the things that I put into the March 19th memo are just market-based price costs. The only thing that, in my opinion, could have been avoided is potentially the increase in engineering costs. But in this case, that was related to having an engineer who had not done this type of design before. He simply needed assistance from the outside. So I don't think there is costs in this that were unwarranted. Obviously, we should have done a better job of projecting the costs for the project.
Thank you.
Mr. Koenig, for points of clarification, the project number so that they coincide on this, EE1308.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
It's being amended and substituted with EE1408, or should that be the same number?
No, the project number should be EE1308.
Thank you very much.
That's what our project report did.
Right. Mr. Hare.
Something that I'd mentioned before. I'm sure when we started this project, we sat down, we've got a sheet that says, here's what it's going to cost us to get Calpine here. Now, here's what we're going to make when they're here and running. I haven't seen that. I'm curious if we're going to put out millions of dollars, which we are, what's our payback? Is it going to be better than the other project we got out there that costs us a significant amount of money every month? Are we going to be paying every month? Are we going to recover this money? Is it going to be a 5-year payback, 10-year payback, 20-year payback? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, just something simple that says, here's what we're spending, here's our projected expenditures, and here's our projected return on what we're spending, and how long it's going to take us to recoup.
For this project, this is a replacement of a substation, so there's no new customers associated with this. There's not any guarantee of additional sales. This project is really related to improving reliability so the power stays on under strain. So there was no analysis like that done for this type of project.
So this project has nothing to do with Calpine.
This is an existing substation. The only relevance it has to Calpine is we did not want the transmission line work for this project going on at the same time that there has to be a taking down of a 69 line related to the Calpine project as it ties into the Cartanza substation. This project is independent of Calpine and is really related to improve reliability for the industrial areas over on the Horse Pond Road Lafferty Lane and that portion of the system. The Calpine project is, it's several miles away on line miles from this project, so there's not a direct correlation other than improving the reliability of the system on this side of the city benefits any customer on that side of the city in the long run.
So if Calpine hadn't come here,
We would still be sitting here
doing
tonight.
this?
Yes, we would be sitting here tonight talking about the exact same thing for this project.
I still would like to see the other thing, though, with the Calpine of what our payback is on, because we're putting a lot of money in out there.
Yes, and we are working on the revenue projections and streams related to the Calpine project. So the other project that was just discussed fits more into that category.
Thank you. Any other questions of council? Thank you. What's the pleasure of council?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hutchison. Any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Mirza?
Yes.
Mr. Flavin?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Bono?
Yes. Motion carries 7-1. Item number 10. First reading of proposed ordinances amending Appendix B, zoning, Article 3, district regulations. First reading is offered as the following proposed ordinances amending Appendix B, zoning, Article 3, district regulations. Amendments to the zoning code require a public hearing. The ordinances are recommended for referral to the Planning Commission on April 21st, 2014, and that a public hearing be set for May 12th, 2014 at 7:30 p.m., at which time the final reading and council action will take place. Copies of all proposed ordinances are available at the entrance to the council's chambers or may be obtained from the city clerk's office. I'll entertain a motion for their adoption as recommended. Referral is recommended.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Hare, seconded by Mr. Anderson. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. I now defer to the city clerk for the introduction of the proposed ordinance in accordance with Section 1-9 of the Dover Code. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2014-05, amending Section 2, General Residence Zones, RG1 and RG2, subsection 2.4, additional uses, and ordinance number 2014-06, amending Section 17, Shopping Center Development, permitted uses. This constitutes the first.
Thank you, Mrs. McDowell. Now we go to council members in-house. Seeing none, I have one. Thank you, Mr. Slavin, for the donation to the water tonight. Good to know that we didn't have to ask anybody for money outside of the chamber to fulfill that need this evening. Any other business to come before council?
Excuse me, with
Mrs.
three
Williams.
aquifers, with three operational aquifers, we had a water shortage?
It's only a limited shortage.
Thank you.
It's only 12 or 14 bottles.
Move for German.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
We had the papers in there.